of Management Studies, IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course Mmpc 017 Advanced Strategic Management for MBA program. Presenting Block 4 Strategic Enablers, Unit 12 Innovation Part 1.
Unit 12 Innovation. After reading this unit, you should be able to acquaint yourself with the concept of innovation and creativity, discuss the various factors influencing innovation and creativity, explain the characteristics of innovative organizations, and familiarize yourself with the techniques of enhancing creativity. Introduction. Post-industrial organizations today are knowledge-based organizations, and their success and survival depends on creativity, innovation, discovery, and inventiveness. An effective reaction to these demands leads not only to changes in individuals and their behavior, but also to innovative changes in organizations to ensure their existence, by Red 1996. It appears that the rate of change is accelerating rapidly as new knowledge, idea generation, and global diffusion increase, by Chan Kim and Morborn 1999. Creativity and innovation have a role to play in this change process for survival. The challenge for companies is to be innovative and creative to bring to the market a stream of new and improved added value products and services that enable the business to achieve higher margins and thus profits to reinvest in the business. Innovation can be defined as the successful exploitation of new ideas. Concept of innovation and creativity. The concept of creativity and innovation are often used interchangeably in the literature. Consequently, it is important to analyze these concepts in the context of this research. Some definitions of creativity focus on the nature of thought processes and intellectual activity used to generate new insights or solutions to problems. Other definitions focus on the personal characteristics and intellectual abilities of individuals, and still others focus on the product with regards to the different qualities and outcomes of creative attempts. Creativity as a context-specific evaluation can vary from one group, one organization, and one culture to another, and it can also change over time. Evaluating creativity should therefore be considered at the level of a person, organization, industry, profession, etc. In this unit, the context of creativity is discussed at the level of the organization, and hence the concept of creativity can be defined as the generation of new and useful or valuable ideas for products, services, processes, and procedures by individuals or groups in a specific organizational context. Definitions of innovation found in the literature vary according to the level of analysis which is used. The more macro the approach, example social, cultural, the more varied the definition seems to be. Some definitions are general and broad, while others focus on specific innovations like the implementation of an idea for a new product or service. In an organizational environment, examples of innovation are the implementation of ideas for restructuring or saving of costs, improved communication, new technology for production processes, new organizational structures, and new personal plans or programs. West and Farr, 1990, define innovation as follows: the intentional introduction and application within a role, group, or organization of ideas, processes, products, or procedures new to the relevant unit of adoption, designed to significantly benefit the individual, the group, organization, or wider society. It appears that the context in which a new idea, product, service, or activity is implemented determines whether it can be regarded as an innovation within that specific context. Innovation is often associated with change. Innovation is regarded as something new which leads to change. However, change cannot always be regarded as innovation since it does not always involve new ideas or does not always lead to improvement in an organization. An example of change that cannot be regarded as an innovation is changing office hours in an exceptionally hot summer season. Although innovation is intangible, it is probably best described as a pervasive attitude that allows business to see beyond the present and create the future. In short, innovation is the engine of change, and in today's fiercely competitive environment, resisting change is dangerous. Companies cannot protect themselves from change regardless of their excellence or the vastness of their current resource base. Change, while it brings uncertainty and risk, also creates opportunity. The key driver of the organization's ability to change is innovation. However, simply deciding that the organization has to be innovative is not sufficient. That decision must be backed by actions that create an environment in which people are so comfortable with innovation that they create it. Culture is a primary determinant of innovation. Possession of positive cultural characteristics provides the organization with necessary ingredients to innovate. Culture has multiple elements that can serve to enhance or inhibit the tendency to innovate. Moreover, the culture of innovation needs to be matched against the appropriate organizational context. To examine culture in isolation is a mistake, and to simply identify one type of culture and propose it as the panacea to an organization's lack of innovation is to compound that mistake. Factors influencing creativity and innovation. Virtually all companies talk about innovation, and many may actually attempt to do it, but only a few actually succeed in doing it. The reality is that innovation, for the most part, frightens organizations because it is inevitably linked to risk. Many companies pay lip service to the power and benefits of innovation. To a large extent, most remain averse to the aggressive investment and commitment that innovation demands. Instead, they dabble in innovation and creativity. Even though innovation is debated in senior level meetings as being the lifeblood of the company, and occasional resources and R&D funds are thrown at it, often the commitment usually ends there. However, becoming innovative demands more than debate and resources. It requires an organizational culture that constantly guides organizational members to strive for innovation and a climate that is conducive to creativity. The dimensions or factors of organization culture that influence creativity and innovation in an organization are discussed. Each of these dimensions is discussed briefly to describe their influence in promoting or hindering creativity and innovation. Strategy. An innovation strategy is a strategy that promotes the development and implementation of new products and services. The origin of creativity and innovation lies in a shared vision and mission which are focused on the future. Furthermore, the vision and mission of a creative and innovative organization are also customer and market oriented, focusing on solving customers' problems among other things. An example of a vision that emphasizes creative and innovative behavior is our company will innovate endlessly to create new and valuable products and services and to improve our methods of producing them by Locke and Kirkpatrick 1995. It is also important that employees should understand the vision and mission which supports creativity and innovation and the gap between the current situation and the vision and mission to be able to act creatively and innovatively. Having a clear corporate philosophy enables individuals to coordinate their activities to achieve common purposes, even in the absence of direction from their managers. One effect of corporate statements is their influence in creating a strong culture capable of appropriately guiding behaviors and actions. However, there is also a degree of doubt as to whether statements of principles have any value in driving the organization forward. Most statements encountered often are of little value because they fail to grab people's attention or motivate them to work towards a common end. Successful innovation as chaos within guidelines, in other words, top management prescribes a set of strategic goals but allows personal great freedom within the context of the goals. Organizational goals and objectives reflect the priorities and values of organizations and as a result may promote or hinder innovation. Personal and organizational goals that emphasize quality rather than effectiveness improve the levels of innovation. It appears that reflecting the value of purposefulness in the goals and objectives of organizations has an influence on creativity and innovation. Structure. In the innovation literature, much has been written about the structural characteristics of organizations, and it has been suggested that a flat structure, autonomy, and work teams will promote innovation, whereas specialization, formalization, standardization, and centralization will inhibit innovation. As regards the influence of organizational culture on a structure that supports creativity and innovation, values like flexibility, freedom, and cooperative teamwork will promote creativity and innovation. On the other hand, values like rigidity, control, predictability, stability, and order, mostly associated with hierarchical structures, will hinder creativity and innovation. A high level of responsibility and adaptability accompanies an organizational structure that allows for flexibility. Examples of flexibility in organizations include making use of a job rotation programs or doing away with formal and rigid job descriptions. Freedom as a core value in stimulating creativity and innovation is manifested in autonomy, empowerment, and decision making. This implies that personnel are free to achieve their goals in an automatic and creative way within guidelines. Personnel, therefore, have the freedom to do their work and determine procedures as they see fit within the guidelines provided. Management should also believe in personnel and encourage them to be more creative by allowing them more freedom. In other words, empowering them instead of controlling them. Research revealed that the degree to which employees have freedom and authority to participate in decision making in solving problems determines the level of empowerment, which is positively related to the level of creativity and innovation in an organization. The speed of decision making can also promote or inhibit creativity and innovation. Tushman and O'Reilly 1997 claim that cultural norms that leads to quick decision making, example that speed is important and that the work rate is fast, should promote the implementation of innovation. Cooperative teams are identified by some authors as having an influence on the degree to which creativity and innovation take place in organization. Well-established work teams, which allows for diversity in individual talents that complement one another, should promote creativity and innovation. Cross-functional teams that encourage social and technical interaction between developers and implementers can improve and promote creativity and innovation. Another important aspect is that team members should be able to trust and respect one another, understand one another's perspectives and style of functioning, solve differences of opinion, communicate effectively, be open to new ideas, and question new ideas. Such effective teamwork is partly based on team members' skills and abilities and partly on the shared values within the group. Example: values about shared trust and solving differences. In summary, organic structures that promote innovations are freedom from rules, participative and informal, many views aired and considered, face-to-face communication, little red tape, interdisciplinary teams, breaking down departmental barriers, emphasis on creative interaction and aims, outward-looking willingness to take on external ideas, flexibility with respect to changing needs, non-hierarchical, information flow downwards as well as upwards, decision-making responsibility at lower levels, decentralized procedures, freedom to act, expectation of action, belief that individual can have an impact, delegation, quick, flexible decision making, minimize bureaucracy. The structures that hinder innovation include rigid departmental separation and functional specialization, hierarchical, bureaucratic, many rules and set procedures, formal reporting, long decision chains and slow decision making, little individual freedom of action, communication via the written word, much information flow upwards, directives flow downwards. Support mechanisms. Support mechanisms should be present in an organization to create an environment that will promote creativity and innovation. Rewards and recognition and the availability of resources, namely time, information technology, and creative people, are mechanisms that play this role. Behavior that is rewarded reflects the value of an organization. If creative behavior is rewarded, it will become the general, dominant way of behaving. The problem is that many organizations hope that personnel will think more creatively and take risks, but they are rewarded for well-proven, trusted methods and fault-free work. Personnel should also be rewarded for risk-taking, experimenting, and generating ideas. Intrinsic rewards like increased autonomy and improved opportunities for personal and professional growth may support the innovation process. It is also important to reward individuals as well as teams. Management should be sensitive to which methods of reward and recognition will inspire personnel in their specific organization to be more creative and innovative. The key attributes of organizations that reward innovation include: ideas are valued, attention and support of top management, respect for new ideas, celebration of accomplishments, example awards, implementation of suggestions, encouragement. An organizational culture that promotes creativity and innovation should give employees time to think creatively and experiment. In organizations where creativity and innovation are encouraged, personnel are, for example, allowed to spend 15% of their time on generating new ideas and working on their favorite projects. Emphasis on productivity and downsizing, which leads to more pressure on employees to work harder, is not conducive to creativity and innovation in organizations. Information technology as a support mechanism is an important resource for successful innovation. In organizations where it is part of the culture to use computer technology such as the internet and intranet to communicate and exchange ideas, the chances of creativity and innovation taking place are improved. Recruitment, selection, and appointment and maintaining employees are an important part of promoting the culture of and specifically creativity and innovation in an organization. The values and beliefs of management are reflected in the type of people that are appointed. Apart from personality traits like intelligence, knowledge, risk taking, inquisitiveness, and energy, a value like diversity is of utmost importance in the appointment of creative and innovative people. Appointing people of diverse backgrounds should lead to richer ideas and processes that should stimulate creativity and innovation. Behavior that encourages innovation. Values and norms that encourage innovation manifest themselves in specific behavioral forms that promote or inhibit creativity and innovation. The way in which mistakes are handled in organizations will determine whether personnel feel free to act creatively and innovatively. Mistakes can be ignored, covered up, used to punish someone, or perceived as a learning opportunity. Tolerance of mistakes is an essential element in the development of an organizational culture that promotes creativity and innovation. Successful organizations reward success and acknowledge or celebrate failures, for example, by creating opportunities to openly discuss and learn from mistakes. An organizational culture in which personnel are encouraged to generate new ideas without being harmed and where the focus is on what is supported instead of on what is not viable should encourage creativity and innovation. Fair evaluation of ideas will also support and encourage creativity. An organizational culture that supports a continuous learning orientation should encourage creativity and innovation. By focusing on being inquisitive, encouraging personnel to talk to one another, example to clients within and outside the organization to learn from them, keeping knowledge and skills up to date, and learning creative thinking skills, a learning culture can be created and maintained. Taking risks and experimenting are behaviors that are associated with creativity and innovation. A culture in which too many management controls are applied will inhibit risk taking and consequently creativity and innovation. The assumption that risks may be taken as long as they do not harm the organization will not encourage personnel to be creative and innovative by experimenting and taking risks. It is important that a balance should be reached in the degree to which risk taking is allowed. This can be achieved by spelling out expected results, assigning the responsibility of monitoring and measuring risk taking to someone in the organization, creating a tolerant atmosphere in which mistakes are accepted as part of taking the initiative, regarding mistakes as learning experiences, and assuming that there is a fair chance of risks being successful. Most creative and innovative departments in an organization regard competitiveness as an important aspect of their culture. According to Reid, competitiveness in organizations has shifted to the creation and assimilation of knowledge. In creating a culture of competitiveness, managers should reach out to internal and external knowledge, encourage debating of ideas, create an environment in which constructive conflict will lead to information flow, support projects based on information flow, and actively manage the choice of organizational design. Support for change is a value that will influence creativity and innovation positively. Managers can create a culture that supports change by looking for new and improved ways of working, creating a vision that emphasizes change, and revealing a positive attitude towards change. An example of a culture in which change is supported is to expect personnel, when stating their annual objectives for the year, to indicate how they intend changing their work methods. Tolerance of conflict and handling conflict constructively are values that support creative and innovative behavior in organizations. When there is conflict between different ideas, perceptions, and ways in which information is processed and evaluated, the process of handling conflict should be handled constructively to promote creativity and innovation. Understanding different individual thinking styles and taking personal in the process of constructive confrontation will create a culture supportive of creativity and innovation. Communication. An organizational culture that supports open and transparent communication based on trust will have a positive influence on promoting creativity and innovation. Teaching personnel that disagreement is acceptable since it offers the opportunity to expose paradoxes, conflict, and dilemmas can promote openness in communication. At the same time, personnel must feel emotionally safe to be able to act creatively and innovatively and should therefore be able to trust one another, which in turn is promoted by open communication. An open door communication policy, including open communication between individuals, teams, and departments to gain new perspectives, is therefore necessary to create a culture supportive of creativity and innovation. Leadership. Leading edge organizations consistently innovate and do so with courage. It is the task of organizational leaders to provide the culture and climate that nurtures and acknowledges innovation at every level. Notwithstanding the fact that leadership is critically important, it is nevertheless insufficient on its own to build a culture of continuous improvement and innovation. To build a culture of innovation, many innovation champions must be identified, recruited, developed, trained, encouraged, and acknowledged throughout the organization. In order to build a successful and sustainable culture of innovation, leadership needs to accomplish two broad tasks. First, leaders needs to be acutely sensitive to their environment and acutely aware of the impact that they themselves have on those around them. This sensitivity enables them to provide an important human perspective to the task at hand and is critical because it is only within this awareness that the leader can begin to bridge the gap between leaders speak and the real world of organizational culture. The second factor is the ability of leaders to accept and deal with ambiguity. Innovation cannot occur without ambiguity, and organizations and individuals that are not able to tolerate ambiguity in the workplace environment and leaderships reproduce only routine actions. Innovative structures, for example, cannot have all attendant problems worked out in advance. Leaders needs to build a deep appreciation of this fact, otherwise there will be a tendency to create cultures of blame. Tolerance of ambiguity allows space for risk-taking and exploration of alternative solution spaces, which do not always produce business results. This hedges against constant deployment of tried and tested routines for all occasions. Tom Peters comes close to the mark in highlighting that most successful managers have an unusual ability to resolve paradox, to translate conflicts and tensions into excitement, high commitment, and superior performance. Characteristics that distinguish highly innovative firms against less innovative companies are: top management commits both financial and emotional support to innovation, and they promote innovation through champions and advocates for innovations. Top management has to ensure that realistic and accurate assessments of the markets are made for the planned innovation. Highly innovative firms are close to the end users and are accurately able to assess potential demand. Top management ensures that innovation projects get the necessary support from all levels of the organization. Top management ensures that structured methodology or systems are set in place so that each innovation goes through a careful screening process prior to actual implementation. The above suggests that senior management plays a pivotal role in enhancing or hindering organizational innovation. If senior management is able to install all of the above types of procedures and practices, then they effectively seed a climate conducive to innovation. It is important to note that it is not sufficient to only emphasize one or few practices.
You were listening to the audiobook by the School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code Mmpc 016 International Business Management. Course Coordinator Professor G. Subayama. Voiceover by Chitra. Edited by Savita. Program assisted by Tarannum Jahan and Jagbandhu Jana. Program produced by Dr. Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.